The clock struck midnight, and Emma was startled awake by a phone call from Mrs. Harper. But when she answered, she could barely hear anything over the static, only Mrs. Harper's shaky whisper. "You need to trust me. Do not go upstairs, no matter what you hear." Panic flooded Emma's chest. What could be so dangerous? The house was silent, but then came the footsteps, coming from upstairs, and the ringing doorbell. But when she opened the door, there was no one there. Only a tall figure in the yard, watching her, unmoving. Emma knew she had to act fast, but she had no idea what she was about to uncover. Stay with us, hit the like button, subscribe to this channel as we uncover the mystery behind this. Emma had been working as a babysitter for the Harper family for nearly a year now. The family was kind, well-off, and appeared perfect in every way. Mr. and Mrs. Harper were always dressed to the nines, and their two children, Alex and Lily, were polite and well-behaved. The house, a sprawling mansion nestled in a quiet suburban neighborhood, exuded an air of tranquility. Tonight, like every other night, Emma arrived promptly at 7 p.m. She was greeted warmly by Mrs. Harper, who handed her the usual instructions. Feed the kids, make sure they finish their homework, and put them to bed by 9:30. Mrs. Harper, with her usual grace, handed Emma the phone number for any emergency. "By the way, Emma will be back by midnight," Mrs. Harper had said, a strange look flickering in her eyes, one that Emma could not quite place. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to call. But please, don't go upstairs." Emma, puzzled, nodded but didn't think much of it. She was used to Mrs. Harper's quirky rules. The Harpers were always a little protective of their private space, particularly the top floor of their mansion. The evening went by uneventfully. Alex and Lily were well-behaved, as always. They finished their homework in the living room, and Emma made them dinner. The kids chatted away about school, their friends, and their new pet hamster. They were a picture-perfect family, at least that's what Emma thought. But something felt off tonight, something she couldn't put her finger on. By 9:30, she tucked the children into bed and sat down on the couch, flicking through TV channels to pass the time. The house was quiet, too quiet. As the minutes ticked by, she began to feel that familiar unease that comes with being alone in a huge, empty house. It was around 11:45 p.m. when the call came. The phone rang once, then twice. Emma, startled, scrambled to grab it. The ID showed Mrs. Harper's name, but the voice that greeted her was shaky and tense. "Emma," Mrs. Harper whispered, her voice trembling. "I need you to listen to me very carefully. Do not go upstairs. Do not, under any circumstances, let anyone up there tonight. Promise me you won't, no matter what you hear." Emma's heart began to race. "What's going on? Is everything all right?" Mrs. Harper's voice cracked. It's too dangerous. You need to stay where you are. You need to keep the kids safe. Trust me." Confusion and fear gripped Emma's chest. "Mrs. Harper, what's happening?" Before she could get another word out, the phone call cut off abruptly. Emma stared at the phone, her mind racing. She felt an inexplicable sense of dread creep over her. She had never heard Mrs. Harper sound like this before. What could be so bad that she couldn't even explain it? Her instincts screamed at her to do something. She couldn't just sit here. But then, she heard it. The faintest sound of footsteps coming from upstairs. She froze. The children were supposed to be asleep. What was that noise? Terror clenched her heart. She picked up the phone again, dialing Mrs. Harper's number in a panic. But the line was dead. She quickly tried the emergency number for the Harpers, but again, no answer. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Emma's blood ran cold. It was nearly midnight. Who could be at the door at this hour? Emma hesitated for a moment, fear coursing through her veins. She knew she had to protect the children. She couldn't let anyone, or anything, enter the house tonight. She crept cautiously toward the front door, heart pounding in her chest. The doorbell rang again, and then the door creaked open by itself. Emma didn't know what to do. Her mind raced through every scenario. Was it Mrs. Harper returning early? But then why hadn't she called? Or was it someone else? Someone dangerous? She decided to confront whoever was there. Gathering every ounce of courage, Emma swung the door open. There was no one outside. Her confusion deepened. She stepped out onto the porch, looking around. The air felt unnaturally still, and the world seemed eerily quiet. She quickly shut the door behind her and locked it. It was then that Emma's eyes fell upon something strange. In the yard, hidden behind the shadow of the porch light, was a tall figure. A man, standing completely still, watching her. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Her mind was racing as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. Who was he? Why was he here? The man didn't move, his eyes fixed on her. Emma backed away slowly, a shiver crawling up her spine. She grabbed her phone once again, this time dialing 911. The operator answered almost immediately, but Emma could barely form words. Her mind was fogged with panic. She had to get out of there. Just as she was about to explain what she'd seen, a loud bang echoed through the house. Emma froze. That noise, it came from upstairs. Suddenly, the phone rang in her hand again. She looked at the screen. It was Mrs. Harper. Emma. Mrs. Harper's voice whispered urgently. The man you saw outside is the least of your worries. There's something upstairs that you need to know. Something you shouldn't have seen. Please, don't let them in. Don't. The call was abruptly cut off. With her heart in her throat, Emma's instincts kicked in. She bolted upstairs to check on the children. The footsteps from earlier were growing louder. But as she reached the top of the stairs, she saw something that froze her in her tracks. The door to the kids' room was wide open. Inside, the beds were empty. But there, standing in the middle of the room, was a shadowy figure, looking directly at Emma. Her breath caught. She didn't recognize the figure. Was it one of the kids playing a prank? No, this was different. This was something darker. Emma stepped back slowly, her heartbeat hammering in her chest. She had to get out. She had to protect the children. But as she turned to run, the door slammed shut behind her with an eerie finality. She whipped around in terror, but the figure was gone. Her legs gave way, and she sank to the floor, panic engulfing her. And then, the phone rang again. She reached for it, desperate for some kind of answer. But this time, when she looked at the screen, it wasn't Mrs. Harper's name flashing. It was the name of the man who had been standing outside. He had somehow gotten into the house.